Hi, if you're a real estate agent and you want to go from being a buyer's agent to a seller's agent and earning a strong annual six-figure income by getting more listings, I'd like to share 3 simple steps we found on how to do it. At Listing Grabber, we've been working with agents for years, helping them get more listings, and a number of our clients have actually earned around $100,000 or more in just their first 12 months using these concepts. And we perfected the art of getting more listings, and in this video, I want to teach you some of what we've learned on how to do it. But first the question comes up, does it really work? Well, just listen and then I'll share how to do it.
We are at Statik. We have only been in the system, I would think, maybe 3 months since we have implemented the Listing Grabber system. We have already reached over $3 million in sales this quarter, and by the end of June, we should have another $3 to $4 million of inventory coming in. So we have been slammed to the point where we are hiring an assistant.
So only after 2 mailings, I've got 2 closed, 2 more pended, a new listing, and just did a listing appointment last week at $600,000 to $700,000. Between what's closed and what's pended, that's 1.2 million approximate numbers. The return on that, obviously at 1.2 million, is about $36,000.
Okay, so let's start talking about how do you go from a buyer's agent to a seller's agent. And what we have found is that there are 3 simple steps, all marketing, that you can do. The first one is what we call direct response marketing, that you can use to identify future sellers before they come on the market or contact an agent. And the idea is very simple. If you knew who was thinking about selling before anyone else knew, then that would give you a competitive advantage to go get those listings first, okay? So that's the first step to start moving toward a seller's agent. Then the second step is what we call conversion marketing. And conversion marketing is when you persuade those sellers to use you to list their home instead of someone else. And then the third is what we call branding marketing. And branding marketing is when you start to build your reputation in the community, so more and more sellers start calling you directly. And these are actually the sequence that these things unfold. If you find sellers before they come on the market, then you start using conversion marketing to get them to list with you. Then you start getting your signs out there, and as you get the signs out there plus additional branding marketing, you start to build your reputation. So all 3 of these sort of combine and add up on everything else. What we're going to do on today's video is talk about the direct response marketing aspect, and on subsequent videos we'll talk about conversion marketing and branding marketing. So let's talk about direct response marketing. The first thing in direct response marketing is, what is it? Okay? Well, a lot of people think they know what it is, but what is direct response marketing? And in the simple thing, most people think of direct mail as direct response marketing. That's not really the case. Direct mail is simply mail that goes directly to the homeowner. That's all direct mail is. But direct response marketing is the type of marketing that actually solicits an immediate and direct response from your prospect. And it doesn't have to be mail. It can be internet, it can be email, it can be newspaper, radio, TV, or it can be through the mail. So that's what we're talking about with direct response marketing. And as it relates to sellers, there's a concept in direct response marketing called the educational spectrum. This is what fuels prospects to respond. And if you understand this concept, you'll be able to write marketing copy that gets people responding. So let me show you what this means. As it relates to a seller, the educational spectrum says this. When someone starts to think about selling, then they look to educate themselves on the process before they're ready to be committed to actually put their home on the market. Okay? So that's why they're at a 3 right now. And typically, a lot of the educational process hinges around the same common questions. How much is my home worth? How long will it take to sell? How much am I going to keep when it sells? Where do we move once it sells? So people start to go online and research this information. They talk to friends and family. They start driving through neighborhoods and looking at homes that are for sale. In addition, if they're serious about selling their home, they also start to fix up their home. They start to paint it, make repairs, update appliances and carpet and things of that sort, getting it ready. But during this whole time, they never call an agent usually. And why not? Because they don't want someone pushing them to try to sell before they're ready. This is why usually they wait until they're ready to go on the market and then they call an agent. Okay? And this is why if you get one of those phone calls, hey, I'm thinking about selling, can you come over and talk to me? It's like, get there quick, or someone else will get the listing. But here's the key on this. The person didn't just start thinking about selling yesterday, and so today they call you. No, they've been planning on selling for months. They just wait until today before they call an agent. And this gives you a perfect opportunity to start getting more listings from those established agents who are out there marketing, because if you understand direct response marketing, you can find these prospects in what we call the direct response zone and start to get them to respond before they call an agent. And once they respond, you know who they are, okay? So that's the concept of direct response marketing. So then the next step in this process is, how do you write that effective copy to actually get them to respond? So I want to talk about the 3 parts of a direct response marketing postcard. Now, you could actually insert postcard, email, newspaper advertisement, TV advertisement, anything you want. But because most people use postcard marketing to identify sellers, we're going to keep this focused on a postcard. So the first thing you do is you have what's called a headline. And the headline is an attention grabber, okay? Someone opens up the mail, they grab the postcard, and the first words off of that postcard, it ought to grab their attention, and if not, they may not read it. So that's the purpose of the headline. Then you have the offer. The offer is actually the second most important part of your postcard. The offer is what tells the homeowner why they should respond. This is where you're offering something of value to them that they want to get them to respond. And then the third part of the postcard is what we call a call to action. And a call to action is a very clear step of what that prospect should do right now. Okay? So let's go through each of these 3. We'll start first with the headline. So we have a direct response postcard here, and it has nothing on it yet. So let's start to build this postcard. First thing we want is a headline, something that's going to grab the attention of a prospect. So probably the hottest headline out there, if you're just wanting responses, is, do you know what your home is worth? Okay? Because as prices are going up and people are thinking, I wonder what the market's like, I wonder how much my home is worth. So this is a great headline if you're looking to get responses. So a headline grabs the attention of someone and gets them to want to read the rest. Then the next stage is what we call the offer. And the offer is, what can we give them as an inducement to want to respond? Okay? So let's look at the offer. On this postcard, the offer might be, the real estate market is hot and home prices are going up. Since your home is one of the most valuable assets you own, it's important to know what it's worth. Okay? So this is leading into the assumed offer that we're about to tell them how to find out what their home is worth. And that brings us to the third and final part of a direct response piece, and that is what we call a call to action, or sometimes just abbreviated as a CTA. So the call to action on this postcard is going to be, I put together a website that makes it easy to find out what your home is worth in today's market. Visit my website below to get that information now, and then it gives a web address to go to, like yourwebsite.com, okay? And so this is how you start to craft a direct response marketing piece, a headline, an offer, and then a call to action. But then the question also comes up, okay? Once we take it from there, what copy works best? And this is where the rubber starts to meet the road in terms of actually finding sellers before they come on the market and getting them to respond to you. So let's look at this, okay? So here we have a postcard. Do you want to know what your home is worth? Headline, and it's talking about how to go to this website and find out what their home is worth. The problem with this postcard is it gets a whole lot of people responding. And you go, well, what's the big deal about that? We want them to respond, right? No, we don't. We don't want everyone responding. We only want sellers responding, okay? So in direct response marketing, the first step is let's narrow this down to people that we want to have respond. So let's change this headline a little bit. Let's take that out and let's rewrite the copy. And rather than saying, do you want to know what your home is worth, why don't we ask the very obvious question, are you planning to sell your home? That's going to interrupt the prospect and get them engaged, those who are thinking about selling. And then the copy could read, learn how much your home is worth in today's market. Knowing this will help you plan the type of new home you buy by knowing how much you should keep when your current home sells. Visit my website below to find out what your home is worth right now. Go to yourwebsite.com. You see how easy that is? And what this starts to do is this starts to narrow the market space who responds, trying to get it a little bit more narrow to only those people who are thinking about selling. That's what we want. We just want to find sellers, okay? But you can go even a step further than this. In our testing, this works, but there's still a lot of people who read this postcard, they're not interested in selling, but they go, maybe I want to find out what my home is worth, so I'll go to the website, okay? And so it can give you what we call sort of false prospects. So let's take this a step further. How can we take that content and how can we take any content actually and start to narrow it down to only speak toward the sellers, okay? So here's another content. The 7 most shocking mistakes homeowners make when selling their home and what you can do to avoid them. See how this is start to bringing it down to only something that maybe a seller is interested in. And then the copy reads, continues, hint, most homeowners lose thousands of dollars by the time they close unless they fix these problems before putting their home on the market. So if you're planning to sell, watch out for these 7 shocking mistakes most homeowners make. Okay, so that's the offer there. Then here comes the call to action. I compiled a special report to reveal them to you and step by step what you can do to avoid them. Download it now. For more information, go to yourwebsite.com. See how this works? So now this is information very specifically tailored to a homeowner thinking about selling. What this means is that you'll get fewer responses, but the responses you get are going to be more likely to be sellers. What that means for you is you don't have to spend a lot of time and effort following up with a bunch of tire kickers. Now, before you start to copy this postcard and start using it yourself, let me give you a warning, okay? Not only is it copyrighted by us, but more importantly, we've tested it and have abandoned its use because after testing 20 to 30 or 40 or 50 different variations of copy and content and headlines and everything else, what we find is there are lots of things out there that work a lot better than this. So if you think this is great, then you ought to see our proprietary stuff that we use with only our clients, and it's even better. But this gives you at least a starting point where you can take copy like this, go out and mail it and test it against something else and see which works better, and then you can start to develop your own. Now, let me also suggest, we did a video on what makes what we do at Listing Grabber better than other people, and we call it the difference, okay? So if you want to find out and actually see samples of what we call great marketing copy versus bad marketing copy, all right, just search on YouTube for Listing Grabber different. What makes Listing Grabber different, okay? And you'll find that video and watch it, and it'll give you some more information. So then that brings us to the next and final process in all this. So here's where we are. To go from a buyer agent to a seller's agent, you got to start finding listings and sellers. The best and quickest way to do that is to use direct response marketing to identify future sellers. Once you use that direct response marketing copy and start mailing it out and people respond, then the next and final phase is you have to identify who they are, okay? So let's talk about the lead capture process. There are actually 2 processes that you can do. The first is the most common one, which is called a lead capture website, okay? And a lead capture website is, just as the name implies, it allows people to fill out a form so you can capture that information, okay? And the great thing about a lead capture website is it's very easy to do, okay? You can find a number of different companies offering real estate websites that give you a spot with a lead capture form. And ideally, the website that you want to find or use is one that allow you to customize the information on the website and then have a form that they fill out. And that way, depending on what offer you're using, you can have information particular to the postcard that you're sending out. Now, the bad thing about a lead capture site is its conversion rate. Typically, only 1 visitor out of every 10 or 20 visitors will end up filling out the form, okay? So what that means is you're doing a lot of marketing, driving a lot of traffic there, and you get a lot of people going there who are prospects for you, but only a few people fill out the form. Now, it didn't always used to be this way, okay? Quite a few years back, when the internet was not quite so prolific as it is now with marketing, people would go to a website and fill out the form to get the information. But they've gotten smart now. They know that when they fill out this form, a salesperson is calling, right? And so they're not going to fill it out unless they're ready for a salesperson to call. So as a result, you get two things. Number one, you get people that what we call abandon the website. They don't fill out the form. And you also get people who fill out the form with erroneous information that keeps you from following up with them. Okay, neither one of those are good. However, it's still effective. Okay, it still works. You can still make a lot of money from that. I want to show you a different process. This was a conundrum that we ran into, and we started to ask the question: how do we overcome the problem of 10 to 20 people abandoning the website for everyone who fills out the form? And what we came up with is a different process, and it's actually integrating your mailing list with your website, okay? And so now this takes a little bit of custom programming and a few other custom pieces of information along the way. But the idea is if you can integrate your mailing list with your website, then when someone responds, and you can program your website to identify who, what household is responding, then you can match it back to your address and know exactly who it is that's responding to your postcard. So the great thing about this concept is you'll know with 100% accuracy every single prospect who visits your website, okay, regardless of whether or not they fill out the form. Obviously, the good answer, what this means to you is if it takes 10 or 20 prospects visiting your website to fill out the form, this is going to give you 10 to 20 times more prospects because you're going to know 100% every person who is responding to your marketing. Now, the bad part about this is it's more difficult to do. It takes a lot of programming, takes some know-how, takes putting pieces together and stuff like that. This is actually what we do, okay? But you can use the lead capture site and do some other things on your own quite simply. So with all of that, what I like to do is just wrap up this short video with one final thing. How effective is this type of direct response in finding future sellers? Will it really help you go from a buyer's agent to a seller's agent? Well, don't take my word for it. Just listen to some of the folks who've been using this process with our company, with Listing Grabber, and find out for yourself.
I've had Listing Grabber, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, I guess. I've probably listed almost one house a month with them, starting from the first month. The first one was a $680,000 house.
My goal for Listing Grabber was I would have been pleased to get 5 listings this year from Listing Grabber. 6 would have been great. I've already gotten 6, and it's not even the end of May yet.
I've actually been in real estate since 1996. So I was introduced to Listing Grabber, and I'm targeting 500 homes. My first mailing went out just a few weeks ago. I've actually gotten 8 prospects off that mailing. I've listed 1 home. I'm working with another couple to sell their home and help them buy another one.